very quickly, and France would pick it up very quickly. France makes a lot of military equipment. It's a very competitive market. I did a great job when I sold them. That's why I went to Saudi Arabia first. I went to Saudi Arabia on the basis that they would buy hundreds of billions, many billions of dollars worth of things. And the ultimate number is around $450 billion, 110 for military, 450 billion. I think that's over 1 million jobs, 1 million to over 1 million jobs. So we do that, we're just hurting ourselves. We're just hurting ourselves. And I know that from a certain standpoint, you could also say, well, it doesn't matter, because it is a terrible thing. But we would be really hurting ourselves. We'd be hurting our companies. We'd be hurting our jobs. And so we'll see what happens. But I should have a pretty good report, a couple of seconds. I should have a pretty good report very soon. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. President, just to follow up on your comments about being a nationalist, there is a concern that you are sending coded language or a dog whistle to some Americans out there that what you really mean is that you're a white nationalist.
I've never even heard that. I cannot imagine that. You mean I say I'm a nationalist? No, I never heard that theory about being a nationalist. I've heard them all. But I'm somebody that loves our country. When I say a nationalist, I don't like it when Germany's paying 1% of GDP for NATO, and we're paying 4.3%. I don't like that. That's not fair. I don't like it when, as an example, we're protecting Europe, and we're paying for almost the entire cost of NATO. We're paying for a very, very substantial portion, far greater than what it should be. We have great respect for those countries, but on top of that, I don't like it when they put up barriers to our farmers, where our farmers cannot sell into Europe. They have trade barriers that make it, you guys know it better than anybody. They have trade barriers that are as severe as China's trade barriers, which will be coming down. They want to make a deal very badly. They'll be coming down. But I am very proud of our country. We cannot continue to allow what's happened to our country to continue to happen. We can't let it happen. So I'm proud of our country. And I am a nationalist. It's a word that hasn't been used too much. Some people use it, but I'm very proud. I think it should be brought back. I'm somebody that wants to help other countries of the world, but I also have to take care. We have to take care of our country. We cannot continue to allow ourselves to be duped on military and also duped on trade. With the European Union, as an example, last year on trade, we lost $151 billion. On top of that, we lost hundreds of billions of dollars on protection. So we protect and we get killed. We do the trading and they get killed. Can't do it. I want it to be fair. So I want them to open their borders. I want them to make it fair for our farmers, our companies, our medical companies. They sell medical equipment. They just put restrictions on a year and a half ago where the medical equipment can't get into Europe, even though it's better than what they have. So they have to treat us well. All I want our country is to be treated well, to be treated with respect. For many years, other countries that are allies of ours, so-called allies, they have not treated our country fairly. So in that sense, I am absolutely a nationalist, and I'm proud of it. Yes,
Mr.
Jeff?
President, you said this weekend and yesterday that you were planning a tax.
Yeah,
a new
we'll do a
tax
resolution.
project.
We're gonna
Can
put
you
in-
explain what you mean by a resolution? And can you
very
tell
simple,
us
very
just
simple.
broadly how
Yeah,
this is going to
very
work, how it's going to work?
If you speak to Kevin Brady and a group of people, we're putting in a tax reduction of 10%, which I think will be a net neutral because we're doing other things, which I don't have to explain now, but it'll be pretty much of a net neutral, but it'll be great for the middle class. It's going to be a tax reduction of 10% for the middle class. Business will not enter into it. And this will be on top of the tax reduction that the middle class has already gotten. And we're putting in a resolution probably this week. I think you folks know about it. And Kevin Brady's been working on it very hard, really for a couple of months. We'll put that in and we'll start the work after sometime after the midterms.
Mr. President, why the decision now to send 2 U.S. Navy warships through the Taiwan Strait?
I'll leave that decision to myself and my generals and my admirals, okay? Not to you.
Are you worried about any negative reaction from China?
I'm not worried about anything. I don't worry about things.
Mr. President, on the tax cut proposal, When you say that you want a middle-class tax cut, is that an acknowledgement that the original GOP tax cut was too heavily tilted in favor of
No.
wealthier Americans and corporations?
No, it really wasn't.
Why bring it out now?
It's been great. I mean, the tax cut that we had, even if you look at estate taxes and what it's done for the small farmers and for small businesses, if you look at the past, I'm talking about the one that was passed, we're very proud of it. And what it did more than anything else, it brought jobs, tremendous numbers of jobs. That's why our job numbers, you hear it all the time when I speak. I mean, we have the best numbers, literally, we've ever had. African American unemployment, lowest ever. Asian American, Hispanic American, no matter what category you look at. Women, 65 years, lowest in 65 years. A lot of that was done by regulation cutting, and a lot of it was done by the tax plan. And that all inures, obviously, to the middle class. In addition, they paid less. I mean, they walk away with $2,000, $1,000, $4,000, a lot of money. This is in addition to that. But on this one, we're not going to do any business because we think the business is really very incentivized. On this one, we're doing a pure 10% tax cut for the middle class, in addition to what they've already gotten in the first place.
Shouldn't the middle class have gotten a bigger tax cut to begin with?
Well, I didn't think we could get any more than we got. I mean, we got the max. And now, because of the fact that the economy is doing so well, we feel that we can give up some more. I couldn't have gotten that extra 10% when we originally passed the plan. We maxed out. Now, and we had to take care of jobs. Jobs are very important. We gave the middle class a lot, but we couldn't have. Now, as you've obviously seen, business has done so well. We've brought in many hundreds of millions of dollars from offshore because of the tax plan. And that all went to creating Apple as an example. I was with them. They're going to be spending $350 billion on building new facilities in the United States, which is something, as you know, from a long time ago. I've been saying it from the beginning. I want Apple to build their plants here. They're going to spend $350 billion. They're bringing in $230 billion offshore because of our tax plan. Now, that helps everybody. That's good for everybody. But this is in addition to the very substantial tax cuts that the middle class has already gotten. So this will be a 10%. It's going to be a resolution probably introduced this week, the end of the week, or early next week. And Kevin Brady has been drawing it up actually for a while. We've been working on it very hard for a pretty long period of time. Okay?
Mr. President,
Yes, Jeff, go ahead. Finish up.
Yeah, if it was somebody else, sir, actually, go ahead, Jeff.
Yes.
Mr. President, you said yesterday that you expected a briefing from from investigators today on the Saudi case. Is that still the case? Or?
Well, they're heading back. A couple of them are heading back. Gina, as an example, went to Turkey.
Have you heard anything preliminary?
I've heard, but I'd rather talk about it when everybody's back here.
Okay, so tomorrow you expect that?
I think they'll be back tonight and tomorrow, early tomorrow, almost all of them.
And ahead of your meetings in Paris with President Putin and some other European leaders, have you spoken to any of them about the Saudi issue?
Yes, we have, and Mike Pompeo has, and John Bolton is actually over there now. We've spoken to many of them. They are, nobody likes what happened, let me put it that way. There's nobody that said, oh, gee, that's wonderful. They were all very angry about it, and they're very upset about it. Nobody more so than me.
What do you think it means for the broader relationship going forward, whether or not this bill, or whether...
Well, it's a good question, and I think what I'm going to be doing is maybe a little bit what I did with respect to the FBI investigations having to do with Justice Kavanaugh when they were asked for more time by the Democrats. I said, look, I'm going to leave it up to the senators that were doing the job. And I think here I'm going to leave it up very much to Congress. Congress has some very strong ideas both ways. I've been told by certain senators we want that investment to keep coming. At the same time, that doesn't mean that they're not going to do something. There has to be some kind of retribution. There has to be, no matter what you do. I've been told by others that they don't want investment of $450 billion. I think that's foolish, but there are some that feel that. But I'm going to leave it very much, in terms of what we ultimately do, I'm going to leave it very much in conjunction with me up to Congress. And that means Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, and one independent. Right? But I want to have the folks in Congress come back and make recommendations to me. Because I'd like that to be a bipartisan recommendation. I think we can get a bipartisan recommendation, I really do. because I don't think they feel any differently than I do. It's terrible. It's a terrible thing.
Mr. President, why do you think something like this could have happened? Do you think that there was a failure of leadership on the world stage, that Saudi Arabia wasn't concerned about?
They had a very bad original concept. It was carried out poorly, and the cover-up was one of the worst in the history of cover-ups. It's very simple. Bad deal, should have never been thought of. Somebody really messed up, and they had the worst cover-up ever. And where it should have stopped is at the deal standpoint, where they thought about it, because whoever thought of that idea, I think, is in big trouble. And they should be in big trouble. Okay? Yes, anybody else?
Mr. President, one more thing on the caravan. You had said that there were Middle Easterners
Yeah.
in the caravan. Can you explain that? Are you saying there are terrorists?
Well, there
in
could
that
very well
caravan?
be, yeah. There could very well be, and if you look at...
Do you know for sure?
I have very good information. I have very good information. And if you look at what's happened with Honduras and statements made about Honduras, and even a phone call that our vice president had today, which I think you can maybe reveal. Do you want to mention that, Mike? Is that okay? Probably.
Certainly.
Go ahead, please.
No, at the President's direction, I spoke to President Hernandez of Honduras. He told me that the caravan that's now making its way through Mexico, headed for the southern border, was organized by leftist organizations and financed by Venezuela. As we've said...
And the Democrat, Mike, about ISIS, did they say something?
Well, just that it's been organized by leftist groups. They've made their way north. Once they crossed into Guatemala, now crossed into Mexico. There's some estimates north of 7,000 migrants, so the group is growing. The United States of America intervenes and prevents 10 terrorists or suspected terrorists from coming into our country every day. So it is inconceivable that there would not be individuals from the Middle East as a part of this growing caravan. And what the President's determined to do is put the safety and security of the American people first. And I know the President will be addressing this in the coming days about ways we need to close the loopholes that human traffickers and other dangerous individuals used to entice vulnerable families to make the long and dangerous trek north.
Mr. Vice President, are you saying that you have evidence that there are terrorists in the caravan right now?
What I can say to you is...
You're saying statistically there's been a number over the years that's gone. That's not the same as saying there are terrorists in the caravan. There are a lot of Middle Easterners who live in the United States, Americans of Middle Eastern descent, who find that kind of rhetoric.
I'll take it. Let me just say this. Let me just tell you something.
Isn't that true, Mr. President?
Let me just tell you something. I spoke with Border Patrol this morning, and I spoke to them last evening, and I spoke to them the day before. I speak to them all the time. And they say, and you know this as well as anybody, over the course of the year, over the course of a number of years, they've intercepted many people from the Middle East. They've intercepted ISIS. They've intercepted all sorts of people. They've intercepted good ones and bad ones. They've intercepted wonderful people from the Middle East, and they've intercepted bad ones. They've intercepted wonderful people from South America and from other parts further south. They've intercepted a lot of different people, but among the people they've intercepted very recently are people from the Middle East, okay? So you can't be surprised when you hear it. You've heard that before. It happens all the time. And I spoke to them literally last night. I spoke to another one this morning. Very good relationship with Border Patrol and ICE. And they say it happens all the time from the Middle East. But it's not even saying bad or good, but some real bad ones. But they intercept.
They're in the caravan
Well,
now.
they could very well be.
But there's no proof.
There's no proof of anything. There's no proof of anything. But they could very well be. If you look at what that was building, you know, they were talking about 5,000 or 6,000 people. I'm pretty good at estimating crowd size, as you probably have figured out. You tend to get it a little bit off the real number. Last night, as an example, that was record-setting stuff, wasn't it, huh? But they don't want to talk about that. But I will tell you, let me just tell you, that I believe that
Pretty big, sir.
that was pretty big. That was pretty impressive by any standard. And these are great people. And by the way, your vote, we just heard the vote is, and this could be good, bad, or indifferent for Democrats or Republicans, but the amount of voting is at a level that they've never seen before for the midterms. You heard that. I mean, I don't know whether I'm supposed to say that's good or bad, but I will tell you, the amount of people voting is at a level, Sarah, that you've never seen at midterms, a record level by a lot. So I think there's a very good chance, honestly, that you have people in there. I also think there's a very good chance that over a course of a period of time you have, or they don't have to necessarily be in that group. But certainly you have people coming up through the southern border, from the Middle East and other places that are not appropriate for our country. And I'm not letting them in. They're not coming in, all right? They're not coming in. We're going to do whatever we have to. They're not coming in.
And you don't think you're pouncing on this to try to stoke
No, not at all.
fear and cause alarm to drive up?
I'm a very